we start? I'll pick this off. Welcome to round 5 of Legacy Masters 2018. We have a pretty interesting matchup of a couple of local legends, if you will. We've got Graham King playing Dragon Stompy and Michael Billinghurst playing Miracles. I'm joined by, as we commonly call him in Melbourne, the inventor of Legacy, Sean Brown.
Hello, MTG Goldfish Sean Brown here, ready to commentate. I have been thoroughly slain in the main event, and now I'm here ready to do some commentary.
First impressions, what's the matchup like?
So this matchup, I think the main thing that it's going to hinge upon is Chalice of the Void, because Chalice of the Void locks out the majority of Michael's cantrips. Of course, Miracles has 12 cantrips in it or something now. So if Graham's able to resolve an early Chalice and Michael can't pass the Force of Will check, you know, he's going to go to town with all these random Planeswalkers and stuff like that. Yeah, so it looks like we've got a start of a Blood Moon. So turn 1 Blood Moon.
Like, Blood Moon takes off like Tundra and a couple other cards, but it's not, against Miracles, it's not the like Death Null that is against some decks.
Not at all. Like, a lot of Miracles lists will play Blood Moon in their own sideboards because they're very basic heavy. The only issue is for Michael, though, is that it cuts off a lot of his fetch lands. So he's going to have access to blue and red mana a lot of the time, and ideally he wants to get at least blue to be able to cast some of the big spells in this matchup. Jace in particular is good against these decks that are trying to just like imprison the board and dirtle around. So I think Michael is really looking for a second island more than anything.
So obviously the first key moment of this match has been that first turn play by Graham by getting the 3-drop out.
Yep.
What's next?
So what Graham is looking to do next, and this is where it gets even more scarier for Michael, is casting something like Chandra Torch of Defiance, or Ensnaring Bridge in this case. So Ensnaring Bridge, not much of an issue, but it's the Planeswalkers like Chandra. Some lists have been running Khan, Scion of Urza in their lists, and that's when they can start churning out some advantage that Miracles can't interact with. That's when I think the game will kind of get taken away. So, yeah.
Ponder there from Michael. Another Ponder, Terminus, and a basic land.
Yep, so seems like he's found a basic Plains. Now, looking at Michael's deck list, the issue that we're going to see with Michael is that he doesn't have an effective way to close out the game quickly, which is what you would really want to be able to do against this kind of deck. You can see Graham, he's just kind of dirtling around. You want to close it out quickly. Monastery Mentor in the main deck is really, really strong in these types of matchups because it allows you just like turn 3, he could slam a Mentor right now, cantrip around and kill him the next turn. Might be a bit hard through the Ensnaring Bridge, but I guess that's the plan.
I guess you play a lot with instant speed spells to come after they're attacked.
Exactly. So what Michael's really looking for now is Jace the Mind Sculptor. So a second blue source and Jace the Mind Sculptor as his alternative win condition. Because I think even Entreat the Angels is going to be difficult to facilitate with his mana lockdown. There is a second Plains in there, but yeah. So yeah. But I think the onus is really on Graham to get something going before Michael can. Oh, really good draw. Yep, so we see Michael found the second blue source. So yeah, he's on track now to find some kind of win condition. As I said, ideally Jace.
And Graham really needs to play some sort of threat rather than just some lock pieces.
Exactly, the lock pieces aren't really doing anything at the moment. So yeah, Michael Billinghurst, well known as quite successful when it comes to playing the Miracles deck. He's a big fan of blue control decks. All right, so here's the Chalice. Now, this is also one of the issues.
The Force, a turn too late?
Quite a turn too late. We're probably going to see him cast Counterbalance here, which is...
The deck is now called 11 Ponder.
11 Ponder. Well, it's, yeah. Alright, so here... Alright, so here Graham's finally established something. Goblin Rabblemaster is a very, very fast clock. We see the counterbalance that Michael has presented as something he can do is really, really bad against these kind of decks because they have a very all over the place mana cost. So lots of 3-drops, lots of 4-drops you can't counter.
And also just doing the Chalice check there.
Yep, doing the Chalice check there. That's why Rabblemaster isn't one of the best threats against Miracles because of course they have tons of removal. Terminus in particular cleans it up really, really nicely, but of course we saw the Plow is not effective in this case, and we see Graham is dealing a ton of damage. Rabblemaster kills in 4 turns.
It can get very fast.
Yes. All right, so this is really Michael going for the blind flip and having to force of will the Chandra. So Chandra is really the all-star in these kind of matchups. Miracles has such a problematic time with Planeswalkers, and I mean that's exactly what Chandra is.
That is the card type.
Yes, that is the card type. You'd be surprised though,
Yeah.
because you can't. There's only a few narrow answers, I guess, that Miracles can deal with a Resolve Planeswalker. So Council's Judgment, Pyroblast for Jace, but of course Chandra can't be dealt with that. So yeah, it's looking like we have some spicy stuff in Michael's list as well. We've got 2 Jace the Mind Sculptor and 1 Teferi Hero of Dominaria in his list. All right, so looks like we have. Michael has found a Terminus, so he flipped the Terminus and was able to clean up the Rabble Master, but looks like
Fiery Confluence coming down.
all right. Yep, so Fiery Confluence uses a very common mode for the Dragon Stompy deck, actually, to just like kind of attack, and then burn you out like a old school red deck wins.
So that's Graham King for the first game. Now, sideboarding. Sean, what do you like for Graham?
All right, so what do I like for Graham? I like Sorcerer's Spyglass in particular is pretty reasonable. Sulfur Elemental is never too bad. If you can expect them to board in Monastery Mentor, so Sulfur Elemental deals with that quite nicely, and of course it's a threat that attacks. Like it's good to just have lots of threats against Miracles, against the deck of answers. I'd cut in this case probably the Blood Moons, the Ensnaring Bridges, and even maybe the Magus of the Moon. So that's what I'd say there.
Sun Demise is against a creature of a certain color, right?
Yes. So it's good against Mentor, but I think it's too narrow to bring in because there's not really many creatures to kill against Miracles otherwise.
For Michael?
All right, so this is where Michael's really going to transform his plan. He's really going to start. He needs to be a much more aggressive deck. So he's going to board in the 3 Monastery Mentors. I could see him boarding in the Vendilion Clicks as well. It's just extra threats. The Disenchant is obviously going to be very, very good. And maybe the Path and maybe the Supreme Verdict, but definitely the Mentors. Mentor is kind of the plan A against these kind of derp you out decks because you just derp them out with Mentor yourself. So yes, so that's what I'd expect to see.
Okay, so this is Graham's sideboard post putting stuff in. So he's taking out the bridges. Braids are still in there, and the. So.
Yep.
Looks like Trinosphere is in there.
Yep.
Sorcerers are in there.
Oh, he also has a Boil in his sideboard that I didn't notice. That's definitely an anti-Miracles card. Blow up all their islands. So, definitely an anti-Miracles card. It really effectively replaces the Blood Moons, which aren't that effective. So, instead of locking out their lands, you just blow them all up instead. Like I said, surprised he didn't board in the Sulfur Elementals, because I do think there is a lot of cards that are less useful, like Blood Moon in particular. I mean, we saw it do kind of work here, but once the Miracles player is aware of it, and now that Michael's on the play, I think it can be pretty effectively played around.
Yeah. Fetching very aggressively for basics.
Yeah, for basics. I mean, that's what Miracles does already. It does, as I said, cut off a little bit of the filtration options, but as I said, in this matchup, Michael's plan, stick a turn 3 Mentor, make a bunch of tokens, and kill Graham as quickly as possible before he can kind of dirtle around like he did last time, and set up shop. Yeah. Yeah.
And Graham's just still on the Charles for 1, turn 1 plan.
Oh, I think that's what the Dragon Stompy deck, its plan always is to just throw one of those big lock pieces at the opponent. But of course, it does vary what type of lock pieces you want to throw at them.
Okay, so we're just looking at Michael's sideboard. So swords have come out, a ponder and a opponent has come out.
Yeah.
Storm. So yeah, it looks like those mentors are in there.
Yep. And I think the Disenchant. So he's boarded in 4 cards. He's boarded out a Ponder, a Portent, 2 Plows for a Disenchant, and 3 Monastery Mentors. As I said, I would probably even be a bit more aggressive in terms of boarding out the removal spells. Because, again, you are trying to... You can lean on Terminus for Rabble Master, I imagine. And Monastery Mentors can kind of like clean it up afterwards. So, again, I don't know. Cutting cantrips always feels a bit weird when you're playing any of your cantrip decks, but of course Miracles is just so many cantrips. So
yeah, he just cuts one of each, so it's
just kind of when you don't really know what to do, just cut one of each kind of mentality. I'm surprised he didn't board out Search for Azcanta actually, because since we see that maybe he might expect Graham to keep the Blood Moons in, and of course Search for His counter is very, very bad when you aren't able to get its flip side going. Alright, so we're off to the game. Looks like Michael is... His hand looks pretty reasonable. I see a Mentor in it, and that's certainly the first start. Graham off to a slow one as well.
Yeah, Graham's going to be disappointed not being able to get any sort of acceleration at all on turn 1.
Yeah. At the same time, though, in these Dragon Stompy style matchups, against Miracles post-board, you actually don't really want to be throwing away your cards as much. Sometimes a Simian Spirit Guide actually cast is better than one, better than a one that is exiled for mana, right? Because you just want to continually throw threats at your opponent until they can't answer them. So yeah, I'm surprised Michael actually left in the counterbalances. That would be a really easy cut for me. Because as I said, we see that he's flipping 1s and 2s a lot to all these 3 drops and 4 drops.
I guess it is a card though that you have that once it's cast, it just has that advantage for the rest of the game.
Yeah, exactly. But I think similar to Search, its advantage against the Dragon Stompy deck is really marginalized. So of course, against the normal cantrip decks, counterbalance is quite high variance, of course, but it usually does accrue some kind of card advantage. You'll get 1 card, 2 card, and then once you've got 2 cards out of counterbalance, you're up on cards. But here, we see it missing quite a bit. Also, Michael seems to have a problem. He can't cast his Mentor because the Magus has locked out his Tundra in his hand. So
if you can't cast Mentor, what's plan B?
Find a white source.
Find a white source, yeah.
Find a white source is what I would say is his plan B. Find a white source. Magus gets in. So, Billinghurst is down to 18. Always...
No, 17. He fetched.
17, sorry. Alright, so Graham has a Chromox, pitching Pian Kiran Nalar. Interesting. I'm kind of surprised, honestly, that
I think he has a second one.
He's got Chandra. Yeah, so if this Chandra resolves, I think this will likely be the game kind of be taken away. Because as I said, there is, with Michael's mana lockdown. Excellent. So he's...
Counterbalance
got pretty good there, certainly. So I think that's why Michael kind of left it in, because the Planeswalkers, of course, all match up, right? Chandra and Jace. You know, flipping Jace to Chandra, I think that's pretty flavorful.
Obviously, we'd gone from the days of counterbalance being a 4 of with top, but is it also a case of you don't want to deviate too much from the generic gameplay of the deck, even if you are putting Mentors in? Or?
I guess the only issue is, like, there are other enchantments that you can utilize, or you could just have something like a threat, right? So, as I said, maybe imagine the Vendilion click in this situation, right? We would have already went in, blocked the Magus, taken the Chandra from our opponent's hand, and then kind of not had to worry about things, if that makes sense. You lean into a more proactive role, while counterbalance kind of sits on the table and you have to kind of feed it cards to get it working, while other stuff would not really do that. Alright, so we've got another Blood Moon. So counterbalance. Oh, Mentor. Really good heads up play by Michael there, knowing that the curve of the deck is of course a 3 and 4 drop heavy. Maybe I'm wrong, Liam. Maybe Michael's just like got it good and he's like, well,
I want to draw that. Oh no, well, I mean, you can't.
Like, he's using the counterbalance very well. The counterbalance has already got like 2 cards back, and yeah, it's doing quite well. Alright, and now the white source is online.
And the fetch is online as well.
Yep. So it looks like we're going to have some Monastery Mentor action going.
So Graham just asked Judge a question, so...
Right. I think, so we see Graham's hand, he's got a Mountain, a Fiery Confluence, and the Magus. So Fiery Confluence is a nice answer to Monastery Mentor. But otherwise he doesn't have much going on in his hand, especially since he pitched the Pian Kiran Nalar, which I'm not honestly a big fan of, because that card really does a lot against... oh, jeez. Graham's drawn another Chandra. So now we're going to see a little bit of trouble. This matchup actually used to have a very interesting dimension with Chandra versus Jace. Since Chandra used to be able to target Planeswalkers with the old Planeswalker rule, she was really, really good at pressuring opposing Jaces, because you can flip the card over and deal 2 to the Jace. So actually Jace would be dead, but what usually happens is Jace keeps ticking up, and then Chandra keeps ticking up, and then they like just fight against each other. Yep, so Fiery Confluence. I'm pretty sure this is going to Wrath the Mentor in this case. So let's just see what's going on here. We do have Counterspell up. Right. So Michael opts not to use Counterspell here on the Fiery Confluence, and I think I can see what his plan is. He's just going to ride his Planeswalkers kind of to victory, I guess. We see that he has Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, in play. Ah, excellent. So, and yeah, Michael's also got the Plow for the Magus, so he floats white mana, and then after it resolves, he uses that white mana to unlock his mana again. This is going to be exciting, Liam. We're going to see Teferi, Hero of Dominaria on camera, untapping 2 lands so he can hold up Counterspell. I hope. I really, really hope that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a standard match, but interesting.
Yeah. Who knew? Who knew? Because in Modern, like, Jace is, Jace, oh, here we go. It's happening.
There's been quite a few sort of standard cards cast this weekend. We had Hazoret in the Burn matchup.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so untap 2, and now Billinghurst has exactly Counterspell up. Alright. I think Graham has drawn I think that's a Sorcerer's Spyglass that he's drawn. Alright, so this is pretty interesting.
Which one do you lock out?
Yeah.
Like, what would you lock out in this situation?
This is tough. Probably Jace, because it kind of activates the counterbalance. But, I mean, it's a pretty sticky situation. Alright, Billinghurst decides to counterspell that, and he's going to get punished with Chandra Torch of Defiance in play. So, yeah, some good play by Graham, certainly, getting that Chandra to resolve. But again, you know, it's a real Planeswalker battle from both of the players here. I think if Michael can draw a clean answer, something like Council's Judgment or something like that, he'll be in really good shape.
I have done the math, and Michael actually has more Planeswalkers than Graham.
In his deck, or?
At the moment on the battlefield. So in this Planeswalker race, Michael is a little bit ahead.
Quite.
Yeah.
Quite indeed. We see that Michael's hand, though, is mainly just reactive counterspells, and that's a bit of a problem because he needs just a clean answer to the Chandra. And of course, a clean answer would be something like, you know, a Mentor. Well, not even that's not even much of a clean answer. So I don't even know what Teferi does. What just happened?
I puts a permanent 3 down, I think it is. Let's have a look.
That's a thing? It answers other Planeswalkers as well? This card's awesome! Is that a thing? Is that how we answer holy crap. Alright. So, don't listen to me.
So, effective card. +1, draw a card at the beginning of the next end step, untap 2 lands. Put target non-land permanent into its owner's library 3rd from the top, which we just saw.
Wow.
And then -8 is you get an emblem whenever you draw a card. Exile target permanent.
You know what's the best thing as
controls.
well? He's going to get to Fate Seal away the Chandra next turn as well. Oh my god, Teferi's awesome. This is happening in real life. This is really cool. So Billinghurst with the new tech. Yeah, that was as I said, he needed a clean answer, and I just don't play enough standard and didn't realize that Teferi is the clean answer itself.
Now you need to highlight it
impressive.
in your article so everyone else can see. So looks like Graham
Go
scoops it up.
Scooperino, yeah, because Billinghurst has a handful of... Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, won that match.
It was the hero that Michael needed.
It was the hero that Michael needed. Damn, that was really cool.
And it also was a case where he really took that the Planeswalker fight and, you know, 2-0, like in Planeswalker. So that won the match. The game, sorry.
Won the game.
We are 1-1, and Graham is going to be on the play again. It looks like... Is there any consideration that would any of them change their... So it looks like Graham's not changing his sideboard.
Yeah, it looks like no one is. As I said, like, for me, I might want to... I don't know. I still like Vendilion Click a lot in this kind of matchup, but as I said, it is... Because notice that Michael had a lot of problems pressuring planeswalkers. And Vendilion Click is so perfect at sneaking in, hitting Chandra in the face, and things like that. So I would like that. I think Michael needs to realize that maybe that's the axis that this match is getting fought on.
And I guess if Graham goes down to Chalice, you can always target your own card, get rid of a one-cost
exactly.
spell that you can't cast.
Exactly. So Click is never really bad, I think. Just a 3-1 Flash Flyer can do a lot in this kind of matchup. But, so now Graham's on the play, and I can see, I think, a turn 1.
We say that, but those two are still alive in the day, and we're in the booth.
And we're in the booth. Yes. But... Alright, so Graham has a hand of lands and mana sources. So we might see Graham do the good old... Stompy decks have historically been very, very bad when it comes to mulligans. The recent versions of Dragon Stompy have really remedied that because the power level of the deck has shot right up with recent printings. Chandra Torch of Defiance, Fiery Confluence, all these cards made this deck into a real legacy contender when before it was quite a bit of a fringe deck. But you can still see that sometimes you just draw hands with too much mana, not enough lock pieces, and things like that. So,
I mean, that's the same with the later decks. You draw the wrong half, the wrong time.
Yeah, but with Dragon Stompy, you really want that explosive turn 1, and sometimes it can just not really get there. And I think Graham does have a very, very slow hand here. I can't even see a soul land in it, actually, which is a bit concerning. I think what Graham's actually going to go for is a turn... I think he has a Spyglass on turn 2 and then a Rabble Master on turn 2. So a very fair hand. Play my 2-drop on turn 2, play my 3-drop on turn 3.
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's not really what the deck wants to be doing. But as I said, in this matchup, you are kind of concerned about cards in hand because you do expect Miracles to be able to answer each of your lock pieces as you go along. And here we have Michael with a Force of Will in hand, which is exactly where he wants to be, on the draw with a Force of Will for that turn 1 Chalice, Trinisphere, or whatever. Alright.
And already...
I think he has a Mentor in hand already, so he shuffles away with that Portent. I think it was like a Mentor and 2 lands. So, shuffles away with that Portent. And, looking for... I guess he's just looking for a bit of interaction, really. Alright, so here comes the Spyglass. Ooh, Graham could name Flooded Strand here and completely screw Michael over. Which maybe... I think he has a Scalding Tarn in hand as well. Is that right? Oh, no. He's going for it. I have done exactly this to our fellow... I was playing Bomberman. And I've done this to our resident Miracles player, Stephen Tang. He had a hand of 2 Flooded Strands. And I cast Sorcerer's Spyglass on turn 1. And he then could not play Magic. So that's certainly an upside of Spyglass. It can, really, really mess up what your opponent was going to do.
Yeah, it's just not Revoker. It can name lands.
Yep, exactly. But it can't name things like Lion's Eye Diamond. So, different to Revoker. Revoker can name that, can name mana abilities. Okay, so I think that we have a Rabble Master in the house. Alright?
Rabble.
This is a bit concerning. So I think Michael's kind of looking for removal here. So yeah, Graham's hand is actually quite stacked with threats. So I can see why he kept it, even though it's very slow. It has Rabble Master into Rabble Master and Pier and Kiranala. And these are great threats, because these threats are quite good against Swords to Plowshares. They're not great against Terminus, but they're like armies in a can. And that's what you really want against a deck like Miracles. Force them to Terminus, play another army. Force them to Terminus, play another army.
Yeah, Graham is not the sort of person who's going to overextend too much.
Oh, definitely not. You can ride this. Yeah, you can ride this Rabble Master. So it looks like Billinghurst has a Terminus, so that'll be good for the first Rabble Master. But then, as I said, we have another Rabble Master and Pier and Kiranala as follow-ups.
And setting it up to miracle it.
Yep. So he'll be miracling it this turn, I imagine. Yep. So there's Terminus. Rabble Master gone. Again, Rabble Master, another card that has really increased the power level of the Dragon Stompy deck. Such a fast clock.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite Goblin of recent times.
Yes, mine as well. I played a lot of Rabble Master in Standard. That was a good time. Alright, another Rabble Master.
Number 2.
So Michael would really love a plow to plow this before combat. Looks like he has a Terminus though in hand, so I think he's looking for another land to land this Jason, set up that Terminus. Michael is running kind of low on cards. I think he only has 4 cards in hand. Is that right? 4 or 3.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure he'll be able to draw up pretty soon.
yes, with Jace. But Jace, of course, will just get very quickly killed by the Rabble Master and their tokens. And his tokens. So, yeah, I think I also needs to find a 4th land, but I could be wrong. Alright, what we got?
So Snapcast to the draw.
Yeah. Alright, looks like Billinghurst does have the 4th land. As I said, I think it's going to be a 4-mana Brainstorm into Terminus. I mean, he could go with Mentor to try and block the Rabble Master. But here, yeah, so he's just going to set it up. And as I said, Jace will be, you know, a little bit of a speed bump while he sets up the Terminus. The worst thing Graham could do, of course, would be to cast the Pian Kiran Nala next turn. If he does that, then he'll kind of lose everything.
I don't think he will.
I don't think so either. He could play, I could see him playing the Magus. See, so he plays the, yeah, so good play by Graham, just playing the lock piece that, you know, doesn't die to creatures. Rabble Master gets in for a lot of damage. How much is Rabble? 4, right? So the tokens kill Jace, and Rabble Master gets in for 4. I think we're going to see Mentor plus Cantrip. Yep, Mentor, and then Cantrip.
I guess everyone wants an army in a can.
Yes, everyone wants an army in a can. So this is really good. Yep. So this is really good. Mentors in the house. We see Billinghurst has been able to find an unexpectedly absent. And Graham is, I think he has no removal for the Mentor either. Pian Kiran Nala would usually be some form of removal, but there's no artifacts to throw other than the tokens. So, yeah. So I think that...
Just everyone watch out, mum and dad at home.
Yeah. Yeah, so here, if Graham didn't have the Blood Moon in play, he would actually be able to kill the Mentor on site. So getting punished for playing that Blood Moon. Yeah. All right, so we're off to the Mentor races.
Michael choosing not to use a custom art token.
Yeah, just a generic monk. Oh, he's doing the good old Portent the Opponent. I like this. So Portenting Graham. I think he's going to UA the... Okay, interesting. Alright, so I'm surprised he didn't unexpectedly absent the Pian Kiran Nala, because now the Mentor's going to get shot down. So there's going to be no riding this to victory anymore. I think he's going for... Okay, he's going to UA it in response. Yeah, so here we go. Alright, these are good plays. So he's forcing Graham to waste the tokens. And he's just letting the Pian Kiran Nala survive to... I don't know. I'm not sure if I like this. I kind of like throwing... I guess you don't want to give him extra tokens, right? So...
But I mean, it's also... Is there an argument that now Graham has to potentially use his Ancient Tombs, he's going to deal damage to himself? Mentor then goes to town as well.
I think the Blood Moon is interesting. Like, maybe I think what Billinghurst would want to do is UA the other token rather than the Blood Moon, because then that stops for future shooting of the Mentor. And then he's just left with the 2/2 on the board. So I think I like that a little bit more than the Blood Moon, but of course then you're not putting some random crap on top of his deck, because now he has a Blood Moon and a Blood Moon in his hand that aren't doing much.
Yeah, which he does not want to cast at all.
Yeah, not with those Ancient Tombs in play. So yeah, I'm liking what Billinghurst is doing here. He's playing quite craftily, so I'm quite a fan. Alright, so Snapcaster Mage. Yeah.
And
looks like Graham scoops it up. Yeah, so that's it.
So Snapcaster Mage
It would flash back anything.
Anything which pumps up the
Mentor.
Makes another monk token.
Makes
and
another Snapcaster on board, and of course
Graham at 7, he is not long for this world.
Yeah. Well played by Billinghurst there. I think, as I said, I think he crafted that last part with the top of Graham's library manipulation quite well with the UA and all that stuff. So as I said, I guess he shot the Blood Moon to the top of Graham's library to give him another dead draw and make him have to use Ancient Tombs and things like that. So really well played. Good stuff. Good stuff.
That was round 5 of Legacy Masters, going to Michael Billinghurst, beating Graham King 2-1. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.